Hello, 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 hello. As the title says, I recently finished a book I've had for ever. Um, I read about 100 pages today, so I'm pretty excited. I finished this book probably faster than I finished any book, and it's the first book I finished in a long time. Um, but it was good. I was excited to read it. Um, and yeah, most of it I really enjoyed. There's parts kind of in the middle that lulled for me a little, but it just wasn't what I was looking for at this time. I got a short list of things that I took away from it. There's definitely various points in this book where I left check marks or put a little star or highlighted an area. Um, but yeah, I want to go over some of the stuff. Uh, Modern Romance came out in like 2015 by Aziz Ansari. Um, He wrote, I believe, wrote and directed and starred in uh, Master of None, one of my favorite shows on Netflix. Watched the first two seasons, tried watching the third. I got like 30 minutes into it, and it's just like, I'm not feeling it, so I didn't watch it. But yeah, let's go over some of the stuff. So pretty early on in the book, um, he talks about things that reached out to me more so. And the first thing was expectations. So when you go into a relationship, the expectations you hold for different things. So when pretty much, I'm going to quote some here. Uh, well, maybe. Today's soulmate and marriage model has the highest potential for disappointment. Since our expectations are so high, today's people are quick to break things off when their relationship doesn't meet them. That's just a quote, page 25. So pretty much one thing about this is I think that's something, what I'm talking about here tonight is stuff that hits me and stuff that I feel like might be messing with me. So high expectations. Um, I think I don't know what to expect all the time. And so my expectations are high, meaning I see other people getting married or I see things, whether in past relationships or people I know, and how they act in different situations. And I feel like, okay, well, if they're acting like that, or they're doing this, or they're living this way, my expectations should be on a similar level, which I want the best, which I'll get to in a second. But like, when I don't see that, these kind of unreachable expectations, that's when I'm like, it's not working, something's wrong. Or that's what I feel like, I think. I don't know if that's true. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing here, give me one moment. Um, um, and I think maybe it's the first chapter, maybe the second. And this is actually only a couple pages from the last one. But one of the chapters, they interview a ton of old people that either were in marriages or whatever. I think they go to like a retirement home and ask people various questions about relationships and what they think. And one thing he asks about, let's see if I can quote this. He asked them like, think about all the options young people have now, all of the doors that they're, all of the doors that are there for them to open. Doors meaning different relationships, different possibilities. And the old people, it says the old folks weren't buying it. So pretty much in this chapter or this section, he was saying that in the older generations, most of the people were marrying people within like 5 blocks of where they were. It was like something like 50% of people that were getting married were finding someone within 5 blocks of where they were for the most part. And now there's so many doors because you can meet people literally across the world and so many options. And the people said that doesn't necessarily make it better. Um, let me see if I have. They said that you didn't think about choices. When you found someone you liked, you jumped into a relationship. You didn't think of. I didn't think we thought. Well, are we? Are there another 12 doors, or another 17 doors, or another 433 doors? So he's pretty much saying like we didn't focus. This is one of the older, I think, gentlemen, maybe women. But they said pretty much they weren't focusing on other doors. They were focusing on what they had, and they made not. It kind of sounds bad, but they made what they had work, and they made what they had was good. They weren't like, maybe there's someone else down there. Like, should I go check that out? They're like, no, like this is here. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. I think that's one thing that gets me is whenever I'm in a relationship, I'm like, is this the best? Like, kind of going back to the last thing, like I know there's like, I'm in San Diego and there's people everywhere I go. Even when I was working, when I go out to the store, when I go for a run, when I'm going to the swap meet or a yard sale, or whatever I'm doing, there's people everywhere, like everywhere. And so it's hard with that, as well as social media, where it's like I'm on Instagram, or I only really use Instagram now, and I see all these people and I'm like, oh, like look at that person, like, not that I'm like, oh, I want to date that person, but it's like all of these doors, all these people, where it's like, it kind of sounds silly, but like you see something and you romanticize it, where you're like, oh, like that person seems nice based on like pictures or something, or maybe a post, and you know nothing about them, but you're like, oh, like they seem cool, like blah 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 blah. So that's one thing I got from that, was like so many doors, but just focus on the one you have. Um, let me see what I have here. I have notes in here and notes up here. Okay, we'll move on. I think this is the next. No, it's right here. This is one of the biggest things I think I took from the book, was this: at certain times, I need the best. And like I've kind of said with other things, Z's always references like food. So he says like he wants the best tacos. So what he does is he researches tacos. He locates the place. And I was kind of saying this in the last video, I believe. Like he finds out all these things, reads reviews, asks friends, like location, checks out pictures, checks out, all these different things, because he wants the best. And so he puts all this effort and energy into finding the best. And when you're talking about a relationship or with people, like that doesn't make sense necessarily. Because like I was saying in the last one, you can have a million doors, but there's always going to be something better too. Or there's theoretic, oh my gosh, I can't say it. Theoretically, there's always something better when you're talking about people, or like perfect, I say perfect because what's perfect? So going back to what the old people said, it's they could have kept looking and kept like looking and looking, but they didn't buy that. They said, you might have exactly what you need in front of you, kind of. So then I like this. Sorry, I'm horrible at reading out loud. If this mentality has so pervaded, if this mentality has so pervaded our decision making, then it stands to reason that it is also affecting our search for romantic partners, especially if it's going to be long term. So pretty much just rehashing on what I just said. Like if we're searching for something that's going to be long term and we know we're going to stick with it, rather than just tacos, where it's like momentary like euphoria, we really want to know, like, is this the choice we want to make? We want to ask everyone, we want to see the reviews, we want to, like, we want to make sure this is what we're buying is what we want to live with. Let's see. I guess that's kind of everything kind of just builds in different ways on this, but pretty much when you think of that, it can be very terrifying. So you can start doubting. You can, once you make a decision, especially with something longer, not necessarily with tacos, but like he uses, I think it's like a rice cooker or like a juicer. By the time you have that and you're using it and it's working great, maybe they come out with a new one. And it's like, oh, but like now I have to get this one, then I won't need that one. Like it's bigger, better, faster, whatever. And so that can be terrifying. But, if something you have is great and you love it and it's working, like, what are you giving up? Like you're trying to trade in for something new that isn't the same. And it might not. I don't know. That one I'm a little mixed on. I'll go with like one more quote here. It's a little longer, but pretty much it says, maybe we were turning into the people from the job study, trying to find a crazy, unattainable job. Maybe we were trying to meet every single person in order to be sure we have the best. Maybe we have it all wrong. Maybe we need to have a little more faith in humanity, like our positive buds in Wichita and Monroe. So they talk to people in Wichita and Monroe about relationships, mainly focusing on apps, like using Tinder and stuff in small towns and what it's like. I think it was people from Monroe, when they had Tinder, they only had this is 2014, so they only had 2 people on Tinder. And a lot of the people would go out of town on dates, or else they would see people at the bars and the restaurants because they knew everyone. But this is something I've often thought about, and the book's kind of emphasizing for me is like, maybe I have it all wrong. Maybe I'm focusing too much on trying to find the best, and I just have to not worry about the things I don't have and focus on the things I have. After that, talks about they went to Japan, France, and where was the last place? Some island. I forget exactly where it was, but last chapter was great. I think some of the stuff's a little dated, just because it's been pretty much 8 years since the research was being done for this book. But it still stands true though, and that's why I continued reading it. Especially the last chapter, I was happy because there was a little bit of a lull before that. I don't know. I think I still have a lot of research ahead of me to see what I'm looking for and what I need to look inward on and figure out. I want to get a video done tonight and just make it quick, finish the book, so I'm pretty proud. Still didn't hang anything up because I gotta buy more frames, but excuses. And I bought an adapter for my other computer, so hopefully that comes in soon and I can use my other computer to make some videos. And I think I'm gonna interview Justin still next week, and possibly Amanda, and hopefully those come up. And I guess that's about it. Quickie. Okay, have a good night, everyone. I'm going to bed.